Hello everyone, today I want to talk to you about my long-term test bike, which is the Nukeproof Mega 290 Pro 2017 model. I've had a bit of time to get used to it, so I want to do a little walk round, talk about some of the things that I've found. So if we start at the front, the original stock model comes with a Nukeproof warhead bar, alloy bar. It's 760 wide, which might be perfectly good for a lot of people, and yes, a lot of the top enduro racers do run narrower bars because they're riding tight courses with tree spacing is a bit of an issue. I prefer a slightly wider bar. So I've gone for the Nukeproof Warhead Carbon. It's a 780mm wide bar instead of 760, and also it's a low rise bar. It's 12mm rise instead of the 20mm that comes stock. You're wanting to get your weight over the front wheel. When you've got a high rise bar, that's difficult to do. Even when you slam the stem down, sometimes you can't slam the stem fully down because it's hitting the top cap of the headset. The other change with the cockpit is I've gone to a 35mm stem. Again, stock is a 50mm Nukeproof stem. It was just a little bit on the long side and I was having issues with the steering. By shortening the stem, I've kind of slowed down the steering response a little bit and I made it a bit more accurate, and I think it's an improvement. And another reason why I swapped to the shorter stem is because it's got pretty long chainstays on the Mega 2.9, which these days of fashionable short chainstays is on the long side. Now I'm not a massive short chainstay fan. I don't think that they're the be all and end all, but what they do give you is a very lively front end that's really easy to pick up and manual and lift over obstacles. Personally, I think you could probably get away with slightly shorter chainstays on this bike. Now, one thing that I did when a couple of months after getting the bike was I fitted some offset bushings. So I've got offset bushings in both shock eyelets now. So I've gone from a static BB height of 337 on this bike as measured as it came, and now it's at 332. So I can run slightly higher pressures and yet retain the same kind of dynamic BB height, and that'll helps the pedalling efficiency a little bit. What it's also done at the head angle and the seat angle is slacken those two. It came out of the box with a 66.4 degree head angle, and now it's got a 64.6 degree head angle. So quite a big change, so sub 65 head angle on this bike now, which is pretty slack, but I actually think suits it really well, and I don't think there's any drawbacks to that I've encountered. It's all a balance, getting the weight in the right place over the front wheel, getting the bar height right. It's all kind of intertwined. You're going to gain in some areas, you're going to lose in others, so it's a trade-off. It came with the Maxwell Lite, which needs an Allen key to remove. It's a cleaner front end, there's less to catch on things. It's also lighter, but for me, I'm getting the bike in and out of the car all the time. I've actually now got quick releases front and rear. I can get the wheels out really quickly, and it just saves faffing time in the car park. This is a SRAM wheel and a SRAM product fork, a RockShox fork, but Nukeproof didn't spec the torque caps, end caps on the hubs to mate with the lowers. Now, if you're going to have those two products spec'd, you may as well go for the torque cap, because you are going to increase the stiffness. Now, I've had this again, as I say, since December, I think, so I've used it through the winter. The front hub bearings have already gone in the Rail 40 wheels. They're absolute toast, so I'm going to have to replace those, but that's, I would say, not brilliant. That's something to keep an eye on this bike. Other than that, the wheels have stayed perfectly true. There are no dents and dings in them. They set up tubeless really easily, and not a bad wheel set really, all in all. Interestingly, the Nukeproof have chosen to pair up the SRAM fork, shock and wheel set with a Shimano XT drivetrain, so it's got a bit of a mix and match approach. The first thing that was a problem was the chain ring. Mud would build up on this little shelf here, and it would push the chain ring, so push the chain off the chain ring teeth. So eventually it would hit the chain guide. This comes with a chain guide, so it would start rubbing against the chain guide, and it would chain suck really badly down the bottom here. To be fair to Shimano, it didn't come with a Shimano chain. It was originally a KMC chain on there. Obviously Shimano want you to use a full Shimano system. Got a new chainring now. This is the new design. I think they have gone to a much more narrow, wide style of tooth profile on the chainring, and I have had much less, in fact no problems with mud, but I would say that it's not as secure as maybe some other designs out there. One of the other interesting things on this bike is it comes with Shimano brakes as well, and these are the XT. It's got 180 rotors front and rear. Now I'm a big fan of the lever shape, the short stubby lever, one finger design, modulation of them. Always had lots of power, never usually needed much maintenance. However, the XT ones on this bike have not been the most consistent in terms of lever feel. The moment when you need it the most is always either pulling a little bit too far or it's a little bit less than you expect. And you really need consistent brakes, consistent lever feel to give you confidence. I've bled these brakes. It did improve them, but it's definitely not 100%. Something else that was less than ideal out of the box was all of the pivot bolts were loose on this bike. I went around and tightened them all when I built it up, and I've had to do that again subsequently. If you have a Mega or you're thinking of getting one, it's definitely something to look out for. I took off the stock tyres, front Schwalbe Magic Mary and a Schwalbe Knobby Nick at the rear, so a kind of fast rolling rear tyre with a super grippy, super aggressive front tyre, and I think it's a really good spec there from Nukeproof, but I just couldn't get on with how slow and draggy the Magic Mary was. Gone for slightly lower grip, ultimate grip levels with the Minion, but I've got a much better all-round. I really would like to see a bottle cage on this. I really hate wearing packs. That's me, that's personal preference. And the only bottle cage on this is under the down tube, which I don't think is a particularly good place for a bottle cage. It's a small thing, it's not the end of the world, but increasingly it's something that I look for in a bike. I want to have a decent bottle cage in the main triangle, and the annoying thing is that the old Nukeproofs did have that, the new ones don't, so a little bit of a step backwards there. So how does it ride? Well, I kind of got it as to work out whether you can run a long travel 29er as a day-to-day all-round bike for people who don't necessarily live in the Alps or somewhere where there's really aggressive terrain. It's not the most supple bike out there, not the most compliant bike out there. The sensitivity isn't like amazing by any means, but it does feel good once you've got that speed up and you're hitting those reasonable size hits. It's the little stuff it doesn't do so well on, but the mid to big stuff is spot on. So I think as a day-to-day trail bike, it's definitely something that you could consider if you're doing a mixture of terrain. The bulk of the parts on this bike are absolutely sound. It's lots of the tiny little bits, the details that are changed. We all have preferences. It's unlikely that what comes stock is your absolute perfect component. So that's it. Hope you found my little walk around useful. I've got this bike for a few more months now, so I'll be delivering a verdict on it and I'll give it a rating in a couple of months' time, I think. So check back for that, and remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel and keep watching. Thanks very much.